Hello, I'm Rob Phillips. Welcome to my channel. So for today, we're going to be doing a 45-minute full body Yin Yoga sequence that's all about stress relief and relaxation. So if you're holding on to any tension in your body or your mind, this will be a perfect opportunity to let go of some of that. In terms of props, I am going to recommend having a blanket, but if you don't happen to have one, I imagine you'll be able to follow along. You just might want to be careful about padding your knees and things like that. So once you're ready to go here, we're going to start on our back. So once you found your way onto your back, just ensuring that you feel comfortable, that you feel stable. You can do simple shavasana as I'm doing here, or consider using any props if that helps you to be even more comfortable. Close the eyes and really begin to settle. Really begin to tune in here. So if we're dealing with stress, if we're dealing with anxiety or anything like that, you might begin to notice that we almost always hold that somewhere within the body. Maybe you feel some physical tension, maybe you feel some gripping or resistance. This class is going to be all about letting go of that little by little. So to kind of accelerate that process, to kind of get things going, let's together here take 3 rounds of nice deep breaths where we hold in the breath for a moment and then we exhale out the mouth to let it go. Each time that you exhale out the mouth, just really feel that sense of letting go of whatever you might be holding on to. So together here, take nice deep inhale breath through the nose, really fill the whole body with the breath. Hold for a moment at the top. Out the mouth as you exhale, let everything go. Feel that release. Again, take a nice deep inhale through the nose, fill the whole body with the breath, and hold for a moment. Open up your mouth, exhale, let it go. One more time. Nice deep inhale breath through the nose. Open up your mouth, exhale, let it all go. And just feel that sense of calm that simple breathing practice may have given you. I'm going to guide us through that a few times through today's sequence, but keep in mind you can do that whenever you want if you feel like you just need to let go of something at any point. Otherwise here, scan the body again here and just ask if you can invite a little more calm, a little more sense of space or settling. Really noticing the ground beneath you and feel a sense of melting into the floor. Even if that feels impossible in this moment, I promise, little by little as we release, it will get a bit easier. But just start where you're at. Let go whatever little bit you can here. Let's take a few more slow breaths here, finding that initial sense of calm, initial sense of surrender here. We're going to stay on our back for our first couple poses. So from wherever you are here, you can open your eyes, of course. Let's slowly walk the feet in and bend the knees. So we're going to come into a figure 4 shape. You're going to cross the left ankle over the right knee. From here, you'll take a gentle inhale breath and slowly exhale, roll over to your right-hand side to come into a twist. Now, ideally, if possible, try to rest the left foot on the floor, right leg on the floor. If that feels impossible or if this is just not comfortable, you can do any similar twist in this direction. My left arm is extended on the floor. You're welcome to maybe look in that direction. And then you'll notice my right hand's just kind of resting on the belly here. Once you're in position, closing the eyes, relaxing and feeling that release on the left side body. Maybe a bit of release on the left side hip. Just as we were simply on our back a minute ago, find that intention to release here. Find that intention to let go. So just remembering as we move into this physical sequence, when we safely practice Yin Yoga, it's all about listening to our body, acknowledging the feedback that it's giving us. So if you feel at any point sensation that's at all strong, if things feel like they're flaring up and getting intense, respect that information and either adjust the alignment in the pose or come out of the pose, but never linger in something that might be remotely harmful for the body. That's really the only rule for this sort of practice. Beyond that, though, just understanding we can adjust the alignment of the poses. There's no definite prescription for how we need to do any of these poses. It's all about noticing what we feel in the body and adapting as needed so that we can unwind. So here in this pose, feel that release, mostly on the left side body. But again, always asking, what are you holding on to that you might be able to let go of? Again, if we're feeling stressed, if we're feeling anxious, by slowing down, we can start to really see where that manifests in a body. Here, little by little, as we slow down, and of course we do these longer, kind of deeper holds, that provides a great opportunity to release the physical tension, which will naturally lead to a greater sense of ease and calm on a mental level too. Now, if you're feeling especially busy in the mind, if you feel like you're really having trouble dropping into this, notice the movements of your breath. Feel that rise and fall, and let that be kind of a home base or an anchor point for the mind. But also not worrying if there are thoughts showing up. Just see if we can let them go in the same way we keep letting go of tension within the body. Now, from here, take one more complete breath where you are. Slowly wind your way into the middle. Slowly uncross the legs and maybe give yourself a little shift, a little release side to side for a few seconds, and just settle into the middle of your back. Take a short pause here. And of course, we're going to want to do the second side. So cross your right ankle over the left knee and take a gentle inhale breath right there. And a slow exhale to roll over towards the left-hand side. And again, ideally in the figure 4 shape, but if this particular twist doesn't work well for your body for any reason, just find any similar twist in that direction. Totally fine. Again, I'm not giving you definite prescriptions for the poses. It's more about the intention for how we're working with the body. Once you found your variation on the side, again, relaxing, settling here. Notice what it feels like to be in the pose. Really tune in and connect with that experience. Not everything we feel in the body will be easy. This practice can be a great opportunity to practice working with that, to practice softening around it. But whereas, while sometimes when we're in the poses, there can be a little bit of challenge, when we come out of them, we get that benefit of truly deep surrender. We start to unwind in a much more subtle way than we can through most forms of physical practice. And even here, we get that rare opportunity to slow down. Let the practice nourish you. Let this really be a chance for you to disconnect and just be here within your experience. We'll take just a few more slow breaths here on the side. Take a final complete breath right where you are. And slowly wind your way into the middle. Uncross the legs. Shift, release a bit side to side. Just unravel things. We will get up in a moment here, but first just lying down. You can let the knees fall in. Take a few slow breaths. Even just a couple poses in, can you start to get that sense that by relaxing the body, by really unraveling here, any sense of stress starts to melt away, and we can really nourish ourselves with that deep relaxation, physically, mentally, and even energetically. It's a truly comprehensive practice we're doing. Here now, before we get up, let's take, again, a big inhale breath through our nose. Open up the mouth as you exhale. Let everything out. From here, slowly roll your way onto either side and gently press your way up into a comfortable seated position. So from our seat here, we're going to set up for a pose called deer pose, which is kind of like a modified version of a pigeon pose. I personally find it fine to do this on my mat as it is, but some folks might benefit from having a blanket or cushion. You can decide that as we get into it. So to set up this deer pose, I like to start seated somewhere near the front of my mat with my feet planted like this. You'll take your legs a little bit off the right edge so that now you can roll over onto your left hip. My right knee is parked inside, and you can adjust. You can play with the exact angle. And again, you can lift up on a blanket, give yourself more cushion if you think that would be helpful. If for whatever reason, as you do this, there's strong sensation in the knees, I'm going to recommend coming onto your back and taking that same figure four shape that we did, but maybe hugging the knees into the chest so you get a little more release. But if all feels well here, once you've dialed this up, we'll take an inhale breath to extend and exhale to walk the chest forwards and settle here. Any amount. So as you settle, the intended target here is mostly that outer left leg, the outer hip, maybe even up into the glutes. You might feel some release on the spine. There's almost like a mini twist happening here in the torso as well. So again, there's no technically correct way to do these poses. You want to listen to your body and kind of dial things in accordingly. And if anything flares up, like I said, especially in the knees, you're going to want to back out, maybe even leaving the pose altogether. But if all feels well here, give yourself permission to really fully let go. Let the body almost melt towards the floor. Let any sense of control, any sense of striving start to fall away. So much of our daily lives, we're trying to get somewhere, we're trying to make things happen, trying to do things. Yin Yoga and practices like it give us that rare opportunity to just be here. Feel in your body, Feel in your mind what that's like. Let there be no destination. Let there be nowhere that you're trying to get to other than right here. And if right here there's anything you're holding on to that you might not need, see if you could let that go instead. Please take a final complete breath right where you are. Slowly come up and out of the pose. As you come up, I'm going to invite you to extend the legs out in front of you. Give them a little shake, give them a little release. And just as kind of a brief counter pose, we can sit relatively tall. Don't need to be, too obsessive about it, but sit here and settle. Take a few breaths to let that integrate. If this isn't comfortable, you could even lie down on your back again, and that would be totally fine. Note how the body integrates, and note how as we find that deep physical relaxation, the mind more and more starts to calm down. Start to settle into that natural sense of space. Here now, as we're ready to, let's set up for our second half. So you can open your eyes, of course, and walk the feet in. Plant them onto the floor, something like this, and then take the legs a bit off the left edge of your mat, so that now, as you roll over onto your right side, you can park your left leg somewhere here. I do it like this. Again, you can play with this. Doesn't need to look exactly like me. Just listen to your body and do what feels right with it. Once you've got yourself set up here, we'll take an inhale breath to extend, and an exhale breath to walk our way forwards here, settling towards the earth. Again, the primary intended target here is the outer right hip. You might feel some release in the torso, the spine too. And just because there's an intended target doesn't mean we won't feel things elsewhere. But most importantly, do notice what you're feeling. Do let go and surrender deeply into that. This rare opportunity to simply be with things just as they are. Remembering it's not a problem if thoughts arise in the mind. We're not trying to squash them or silence them or anything like that. But just as we let go of tension or tightness in the body, if you find yourself kind of lost in thought, distracted, ask if you can let go of that too. You can just come back and notice the body or notice your breath. What are you holding on to that you don't need here? What could you release as we take just our final few breaths like this? Take your final moment just like so. Slowly press yourself up and away from the floor. Gradually extend the legs out and in front. And again, maybe shake them out. Just let them release a little bit from here. From here, we're going to change gears and let's set ourselves up briefly into a child's pose. But if you have access to a blanket, I'm going to recommend setting that up somewhere in the middle of your mat too. That's going to be helpful for the next pose. Might even be helpful for your child's pose too. But just kind of land here. Let's take a few more seconds, pausing and settling. Just before we enter the next posture, let's reset our breath. Taking a deep inhale breath through the nose. And a long exhale breath out our mouth. From here, you'll press yourself up. And we're going to come into what we call in Yin Yoga dragon's pose, which is a nice deep low lunge. So I do recommend padding the knees. And if you don't have a blanket, remember you can fold your mat up to give yourself a little bit of cushion. I'm going to have you step your left foot up somewhere near the top. Now, you're welcome to go as wide or as long as you like, just keeping in mind that the longer you go, the stronger this will be. I'm going to rest onto my hands here. If you have yoga blocks, you could use that too. Now, this pose has a little bit of fire to it. It's got a little bit of edge. I will tell you, we're not going to hold it quite as long. But I think you'll find that working with that little bit of edge will give us such a nice hip release that we won't regret it at all in the end, even if there is a little bit of challenge in this moment. And so in keeping with the theme of today's practice, this idea of stress release, of relaxation, here we might get that opportunity to explore the ability to relax, even when there is a little bit of challenge. Can you let yourself go? Can you let yourself settle more and more? Really feel, as the hips open up, really feel that gradual pull of gravity. Again, a bit of challenge is okay. If this is too much, you're welcome to come out at any point. But really, we're just going to be here for a few more slow breaths. Find that last little bit of space. Find that last little bit of calm here in this pose. Take a final complete breath right where you are. Slowly come out, and I invite you to move and release that left leg. You can even come up into like a downward dog or something like that if you wanted, but just anything to release that hip. Help yourself reset. And again, I'm going to invite you to come into child's pose or any neutral pose to let that settle. So, like I said, while we're in dragon pose, there can be a bit of fire, there can be a bit of heat, but as we come out of it, we get that deeper release. So living a life with no stress would be impossible, probably not even desirable in some level. But what is valuable is the ability to let go when things do arise. And here, of course, we get all those physical tools to help relax the body, which can go a long, long way towards finding that sense of ease in the mind as well. Now, of course, we're going to do second side, but why don't we first take a deep inhale breath through our nose and open up our mouth to exhale and let it all go. From here, you can slowly pick yourself up, set yourself up for the second side. So again, I do recommend padding the knees either with your blanket or possibly with your mat if needed. Step your right foot up a little bit outside, and like I said before, the longer you make your stride, the more space you take up, generally the stronger the pose will be. So kind of do that at your discretion. And remember, this doesn't need to feel easy per se, but it should never feel intense. I'm comfortable resting on my hands. You could use yoga blocks. You could even come down to the elbows. If this pose isn't working for you after a minute or so, come out. Not worth it. If there's that appropriate level of challenge, let's settle deeply into it. Feel the body release and relax more and more. Finding just that tiny bit of engagement to support yourself, but then allowing for the rest to fall away. And really noticing and observing what it's like to be here and what it's like to let go, even when there is a little bit of challenge. Even when our natural inclination might be to resist. Can we still let go? Can we still unwind? No matter what the circumstances. Let's just take one more complete breath right here. Again, slowly find your way out. Release that right leg, move a little bit. Do whatever feels good here. Let that all go. Now, as we transition here, for those of you who are using a blanket, maybe rolling it up into a tube. You could also theoretically do this with a pillow if you don't have a blanket that you're practicing with. And if you don't have any props, we're just going to lie on our belly. So it's not like you're missing anything major. But if you do have the prop, I'm going to recommend resting it right under the hips. And just settling here, and with that prop under the hips, you'll get a little bit of extra release for the lower back. That dragon pose was kind of the peak of our challenge for today. Everything from here on out is going to be much more mellow. Can you just notice now that we're well into our sequence, from all of the physical release, from all the postures we've done, has that sense of physical calm started to cross over into your state of mind? And anything you were holding on to in the body, as that goes away, how much easier is it to let go within the mind? Maybe just noticing how that sense of space that we're accessing, that sense of calm, is always there beneath the surface. It's just sometimes we might need tools or techniques like this Yin Yoga practice to reconnect with that, to be able to access it again. So let's again here find that cleansing breath. Take a deep inhale through your nose. A nice big exhale breath out your mouth. If you did set up onto a prop here, you can get that out from underneath you. And just settle onto the belly for a few seconds. Here in our belly, we're going to rise up onto our forearms and set up into a Sphinx pose. So lifting into the chest. Now, this is one of those poses, there's a number of different ways one could set it up. For today, I might recommend setting up in such a way that you can really relax the shoulders, relax the chest. We don't necessarily need to get this really big dramatic back bend. If you have a yoga block, you could even rest the forehead on it just to really help the neck release. If, of course, you do want to go a bit stronger, no problem necessarily with that, but my soft suggestion would be to do a slightly more mellow version here. Once you're here, you want to align the arms in such a way that there's just a mild compression in the lower back, that mild release in the shoulders. How that looks for your body will be different from person to person. If you know it, of course, come in. If you're newer to it, take a little time here to feel it out and find what feels right. But once you're there, really let yourself just be there. Can you relax the legs completely? Can you relax the belly completely? Can you let go of any tightness or gripping around the face, the jaw? Every time you let go, notice the sense of space that remains. And that sense of space isn't something new that we've created. It's always there. It's just that our yoga practice and the techniques we're practicing here make it a little bit easier to tune into that and to access it. What are you still holding on to that you might be able to let go of? It can be something obvious. It could be something profoundly subtle. Whatever that might be, though, please do let go of it. Please do let yourself settle. We're going to be here in this posture for just a few more slow breaths. Just a few more moments, really. Take a final complete breath right where you are. Slowly, as you exhale, lower all the way down to the floor and let yourself rest there. Let yourself settle. Before we transition onto our back again for the final few poses, here on our belly, I'm going to guide us through essentially the same practice that we started with. We're going to take 3 really deep balloon-like breaths, hold them for a second or two before exhaling out the mouth. The idea here will be to really target the breath into the spine, into the shoulders, kind of like nourishing the areas we were just targeting with that back bend. So start just letting all your breath out. Take that nice deep inhale through the spine and the shoulders, and once you're full with the breath, hold for a moment. And exhale out your mouth to let it go. Again, a nice slow inhale, balloon, expand, hold at the top. Exhale out your mouth, let it go. We'll do just one more. Inhaling, really balloon, really expand. Hold at the top of your breath. Exhale out your mouth, let it go. And as you let it go, just come back to your natural breath, but feel that bit of space, feel that bit of calm that you've created. And let's slowly now make our way onto our back. So as you first lie down, just to kind of counter-release that back bend, hug the knees into like a tight cannonball type shape. Feel that extra round in your spine. Feel that extra bit of release. And take a few slow breaths right here. Now you're welcome just to stay like this. Or I invite you to possibly take the knees a little bit wider, feel some release on the inner thighs. To possibly hold on to the feet and take stirrup pose, happy baby pose. Whatever feels nice. And take your time to set this up. This is going to be a proper pose. We're going to hold here for a little while. Once you're in position, close the eyes and really let yourself just be here. And set up in such a way that this feels sustainable. And coming back to this idea, almost like you're melting into the ground beneath you. It's nowhere that you're trying to get. It's no place that you need to be other than right here where you already are. What are you holding on to that you might still let go of? Can you notice the sense of calm and the sense of space that remains as you do let go again and again? Take one more complete breath right here. Slowly, as you exhale, release the feet or the knees. Settle all the way here onto your back. Setting up for final Shavasana, final rest. Feel free to use any props if you'd like. Feel free to just keep it simple and lie here if you would like. But just to really emphasize the sense of letting go on our way out, let's do a nice scan through the body. And as I bring awareness to each part of the body, completely let go there, completely soften there on the way. So with eyes closed here, just starting with awareness near the crown of the head. Scanning down to soften the forehead and the eyebrows. To soften the cheeks and the jaw. Feel the neck release down through the tops of the shoulders. Through the shoulders, all the way through the arms to the tips of the fingers. Back in the main body, allowing for the ribs to soften. Behind the ribs, allowing for your shoulder blades and your spine to soften. The abdomen releases, as does the lower back. The hips, the glutes release, all the muscles of the pelvis let go. Finally, now down through the legs, all the way to the tips of the toes. Can we completely surrender? Feel the sense of space, feel the sense of calm as we linger here for a final few minutes. To transition into that pause one last time, take a nice deep inhale breath through your nose. And as you open up your mouth to exhale, let everything go. Settle fully here into the quiet and space for these last few minutes. So from here on your back as you are, just taking a final few moments to tune in. And just notice what those last few minutes of stillness have done for both body and mind. You now begin to deepen the breath slightly. Find some small movements of the fingers and the toes, of the hands and of the feet. From those movements, slowly make your way onto your side, and from your side up into a comfortable seat with eyes closed. So in this final moment here, as you tune in, just notice what you've been able to let go of. Whatever sense of relief you found for your stress, or anything at all that you're holding on to. Finally, now to close, we'll end with a short offering of metta, loving kindness. So I'll say just a few phrases, and if the meaning of these phrases creates a connection for you, consider repeating the phrase internally to deepen that connection. We'll join the hands in front of the heart. May all beings be safe. May all beings be happy. May all beings be healthy. May all beings live with ease and freedom from suffering. And may we dedicate our practice for the benefit of all beings. We bow. So thank you so very much for joining me for today's practice. If you enjoyed this class, please press the like button. If you want to see more videos like this, please be sure to subscribe to my channel because I'll be coming out with new classes, new guided meditations, and other yoga-related content each and every week.